Hello, my friends. It's Vicky. I'm back to talk a little bit more with you. The last time we spoke, we were talking about the low carb versus keto, and we got to the end of the low carb section. And the bad news was there was just so much information about keto that I couldn't do the whole thing in one video. So I split it into two parts, and this is part two. So if you haven't seen the first part, watch this one. It'll make sense, but then go back. You can also gather good information from the original video. But what I wanted to say about that is the low carb versus keto. Low carb is like a really easy way to start on a keto journey. And why do you want to start on a keto journey? Well, that's what today's video is all about. So stay tuned, and hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, and I know that you haven't, hit the subscribe and the like button. I promise you'll like what you hear today. Okay, in a nutshell, what is ketosis? It's a natural metabolic state where your body burns fat for fuel instead of the usual source, which is sugar or glucose. When you lower the carbohydrates, your liver begins breaking down stored fat into molecules called ketones. And that is the secret to the whole thing. Add up the cereal, the bread, the cookies, the crackers, all the potatoes, all that stuff. That's a lot of carbs. And if you're a younger person on your journey, you've probably gotten away with that high carb diet for a long time. But the low carb diet, keto is actually a low carb diet. It's just ultra low carb. Like I said, 50 to 120 or 30 carbs is where the low carb fits in. And by the way, if you need to find out how many carbs are in a food, just use your phone. It's like the best tool for anything like that. So the keto, like I said, is a part of the low carb diet. And the keto is technically it's anything under 50 carbs down to about 20 carbs. If you go to zero carb, that's carnivore. There's no zero carb diets unless you're just strictly eating meat and fats. But that's what keto is a little bit different. Some people have a need to go all the way and go to carnivore. And I'll do a video about that in the coming weeks. But I wanted to really focus on the diet that I found the most helpful, and I lost like 45 or 50 pounds. And as I said last time, I'm on track to lose another 20. I'd like to lose another 20, but I'm doing it the safe and easy way. I don't want to have to drive myself crazy with restrictions. So it's nice to know what are the parameters within certain diets. And you don't have to be a constant calorie counter. You do need to kind of figure out the different carbs. And that way you're staying within the parameters that really the reason to do that is because when you eat carbs, it turns into glucose in your system and your blood sugar goes up, which means that you have to have insulin go into the blood because you're only supposed to have about a teaspoon of sugar in your blood at any given time, glucose in your blood. And your liver will help maintain that. So you don't have to eat sugar. Sugar is not an essential. As much as, we all like it, it's not an essential at all. So your body can handle the glucose need that your brain or, other organs have. There's no need for you to be eating extra sugar. The same holds true for carbs. Carbs are not an essential part of your diet. There's nobody that needs potato chips or French fries or any of that stuff. But the place where you should be eating your carbs is in vegetables. So we talked before about what are the good vegetables for you to eat. Here are a few of them. These are the ones that I love, but you can find more. Just look up the carb count and you can go from there. But I wanted to get into what the definition of keto is so that you understand what is the benefit of being ketogenic and having a lifestyle like that. Well, to me, one of the number one benefits is there's still wiggle room in a ketogenic diet. Some people, as I said, just their body is just so insulin resistant that they have to go to like a carnivore diet to get their body to respond better and to get the insulin under control. So, as I said, we'll be talking about insulin resistance in the future because I do think that's an important health factor for us to understand the ins and outs of that. But I wanted to talk about ketogenic diets because it's what I found that worked for me. And it works for a ton of people. There's millions and millions of people worldwide that are eating in a ketogenic way. So, one of the things I think is interesting is that you actually, your body has two forms of fuel. One form is the glucose or sugar, and the other form is ketones or fat. And so your body can run on the two different fuels. Now, if you think of your body like a car, just the junky gas that you put in there is the glucose, the sugar. But the high intensity, high sort of jet fuel is ketones. And how does your body make ketones? Well, we're going to talk about that. Okay, you were born to be a natural fat burner. And we talked about that in the last video. You were literally born for this. So every night when you're asleep, your body naturally enters a mini state of ketosis to keep your brain and your heart fueled. Because after all, it's probably been 6 or 7 hours since you ate food, and there's no more sugar left. The sugar in your liver and in your bloodstream usually gets used up partway through the night. And so your liver turns fat into ketones. And what is the fat that it's using? Well, it likes to use dietary fat if it can find it, but it also uses the fat from your cells. How exciting is that? It just always makes me happy when I hear about that. I think it's super cool that we literally are in ketosis at some point during our night or maybe even during our day. Some people skip breakfast and they don't eat or drink anything until lunch. They're probably staying in ketosis from the overnight ketosis. So we're also going to talk about intermittent fasting in the future because it is a powerful tool, but I didn't want to confuse everything into one video. And by lowering insulin, it also triggers something called autophagy. It's your body's internal recycling program for damaged cells. So we're basically going to move away from the flickering campfire of sugar to the steady glow of coals, of fat, of ketones, because ketones are an alternate source of fuel. It's like you have this secret stash of fuel that you're carrying around with you every day, and it can literally be used to run your body. So don't think about it as deprivation. Think about it as giving your body permission to access the secondary fuel tank that you've been carrying around with you for some of us for decades. It's good to think about ketosis not as a medical intervention, but as a reclaiming of your biological heritage. Here's the spot where I need to stop and remind you that whenever you're gathering information and putting it into action, you need to think about where you are right now and where you've been. So for some people are taking medications. So if you're taking medications and you start changing your diet pretty drastically, it's going to lower your insulin levels. And so any medication you're taking might not be the proper dose for you anymore. As always, please don't just start doing this without talking to your doctor about what you're thinking of. I also want to just share with you, there is a big difference between ketosis, which is the body's natural process, like you go into it every night, or into like if you have a long period of time where you don't eat anything or you don't put like real calories like a glass of milk or something. You're just literally, it's not starving, it's basically going without food for hours. If you're doing that, then your body will make changes. So do it safely. Talk to your doctor. When you do talk to your doctor, he may say, oh, no, Ketosis, that's a really bad thing because there's actually a medical condition called ketoacidosis. Now, that's not something you or I can just jump into. You have to be a type 1 diabetic and you have to be doing a lot of sugar and fat and all kinds of other things, which we're not doing. So you don't have to worry that you're going to accidentally go into ketoacidosis. But if you want, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to do a definition of what ketoacidosis actually is. So, but the average person doesn't have to worry about that. If you're not a type 1 diabetic, it's nothing to freak out about. So anyway, after you've talked to your doctor and you decide that this might be for you, start with the low carb and then graduate here. So what is it? Why would you possibly need to jump into something a little bit harder than just low carb? Probably because you might be at a plateau. You may just not be able to lose any more weight. I know when I first started my keto journey, I confessed in the last video that I did it all wrong. I did crazy stuff like if it said keto friendly on the box, I bought it. If it was a keto friendly meal, I bought it. And honestly, that's a huge mistake. And I just want to share that with you that eating real food is the way to get your body to go into ketosis. Not all these keto treats or keto friendly products, because they have a lot of carbs and sugar in them. Even if it doesn't say sugar on the label, it may say a different type of sugar that you are not aware what it is. So save those for absolute desperation. It's everything, all the choices that you make to put in your body, they all count. They all matter. The type of oils you use, the type of fats you use, the type of carbs that you eat, hopefully good vegetables, the type of meats you choose, all of that. Each choice that you make has consequences. And you don't get to choose the consequence. You're choosing the action, but your body is not going to listen to what your brain wants it to do. Your body's going to do what it wants to do, especially because we talked about before, your body is a natural fat storage machine because, 10, 20, 30,000 years ago, food was not available all the time. And so we literally had to work hard to get our food or to create it or to trap it or whatever. And so because of that, your body wanted you to survive. And so it literally allow you to switch over to the fat storage that you have inside your body to be able to survive until you could get your next meal. When your body is in a low carb state, it triggers something called autophagy. You can think of autophagy as your body's internal recycling program. When insulin is low, the body stops building or storing things and it starts going through and kind of recycling and getting rid of things that it doesn't need anymore because it's not sure if you're going to have anything more coming in. So it's basically going in and checking on some of those cells that have been running amok in your body. And if you haven't eaten for a while, it starts to clean the closet, do a little bit of housekeeping. So that's why when people are in ketosis, they often report benefits like their skin clears up or the inflammation in their joints gets better, which is amazing. And honestly, that was something that I didn't put my finger on it until after I had been in ketosis for a while. And I was like, my knees don't bother me anymore. So it really is amazing, the benefits. And it's simply because when you're in ketosis, when you're on the ketogenic diet and you stay in ketosis for a while, anti-inflammatory benefits. The other benefit that you often notice is you don't have brain fog. You have better mental clarity. And it's simply because the ketones are a better fuel in your brain and they're anti-inflammatory. So when you're eating a lot of sugar and carbs and things like that, there's a lot of inflammation that gets all over your body, like in your cells, either, in your muscles and joints and tissues, but also in your brain. So you're not just losing weight, you're getting better mental clarity when you're in ketosis. And to me, as I get older, that is super important. A lot of people are told that they need to have sugar or glucose to run their body. It's simply not true. You really don't have a need for sugar. So, being able to fuel your body with a cleaner fuel that isn't causing inflammation and all the other things is definitely a benefit that most people enjoy from being on a ketogenic diet. So being fat adapted means that you're not hangry all the time. You don't have the, oh, I've got to eat something or I'm going to scream. You don't have that. It's like you forget. Sometimes I literally forget about eating because I get busy with things and I have enough energy that I don't need to worry about it. I even work with when I'm on the ketogenic diet, and I'll just literally take with me, I'll take some kind of protein and clean vegetables, and I'll have that at whatever time. I sometimes forget to stop and have lunch. And so sometimes I'll have lunch at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Sometimes I don't even eat. I literally have that much energy. So the ketogenic diet has incredible benefits for everyone. And I hope it's something that you can take a look at if you're having health issues or wellness issues of your own. It might be a benefit. If you're an office worker or if you're sedentary, if you sit a lot, snacking is a big thing. Most offices have too many snack foods around. And in order to be at your desk all the time, you literally have to have things that you can, pull out of your purse or whatever. So what are those? They're usually carbs and things like that. So a small handful of nuts can help, which I always think a small handful of nuts is a good treat, but you don't want to overdo that. So if you're tired after meals and you have a lot of heavy cravings in the afternoon, that is probably a distress signal. If moderate carb reduction doesn't stop that crash, then you're not fat adapted yet. So let's talk about that for a minute. To be fat adapted, you have to stay in the ketogenic diet for a period of time. And I like to let people know don't go on a ketogenic diet if you think you're going to be done in 2 weeks. That's not what it is. It's a lifestyle choice. And it basically, a ketogenic diet, you can live with it. That's what I love about it. You can live with it. There's a lot of options to eat things. And so if you are hungry, so I think there are the reason ketogenic is so helpful is because there are a lot of options. But with ketogenic, once you kind of have the rules, low carb, keep it under 50. And if you can, keep it under 30, so that's even more effective. But good fats, enough protein, and good carbs, meaning vegetables. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, fruit. I love fruit, but it is not your best friend. Fruit is just loaded with lots of fructose and glucose. So a banana has I believe I was watching a podcast and I believe they said that a banana has the equivalent of 6 or 7 teaspoons of sugar. Come on, that's just, would you sit there and eat 6 teaspoons of sugar? No, you wouldn't. So the fruits, the best fruits are the berries. You can eat watermelon. It's not horrible. But most fruits you're going to just stay away from. Even all the apples, the modern apples, there's too many varieties of them. Honeycrisp, honeydew. I mean, all of the names they give these apples to make them more enticing, as if they need to, because people love the apples. They're so crisp and juicy and, they taste great. It's because your brain is going, oh, thank you. Thank you for that sugar hit. I really appreciate it. So you have to think about fruit in a different way. In fact, I really think eating in a ketogenic way means you have to think about your food in a completely different way than you were before, than you probably ever thought of in your life. It's really just to sustain your physical needs, adequate protein, and fat with the protein, and adequate vegetables, but not the starchy ones. Stay away from that. And just kind of most fruits you're going to stay away from. You can have a tomato. It does have carbs in it, so don't go crazy with tomatoes. Avocados are great. That's a fruit. Tomatoes are a fruit. So yeah, there's a lot to this. Okay, let's talk about the scary monster. I promised if you stayed to the end of the video, I would share the information about ketoacidosis. So the safe state is regular natural ketosis. That is, we've talked about that all through this video. That's safe, and once you're in that, your blood sugar and insulins will be low, but they will not crash into non-existence. So your liver produces enough ketones in a controlled way to fuel your heart and your brain. It's a peaceful, safe process that your body was designed to handle. But diabetic ketoacidosis is actually a medical emergency, and here's what it is. Sorry, I'm reading, but I want to I want to do it right. DKA, those are the initials that it's known by, is a completely different story. This is a medical emergency that primarily affects type 1 diabetics. There is a total lack of insulin. Without the dimmer switch, the body panics. It floods the blood with sugar and an out of control surge of ketones at the same time. This causes the blood to become acidic, which is very dangerous. So that's interesting. I never had heard about that before. So, okay. So nutritional ketosis is like a campfire, which is nice, but it provides warmth and energy. But ketoacidosis is like a forest fire. That's a good analogy. It's an out of control situation caused by a lack of insulin. Eating a low carb diet cannot cause diabetic ketoacidosis in a healthy person. It simply shifts you into a restorative campfire mode for ketosis. So what are the signs that you need to watch for? If you want the red flags, here they are. Excessive thirst or frequent urination, nausea or stomach pain, fruity smelling breath, a very specific sign of ketone surge, confusion or extreme fatigue. The difference is one is a health condition that it requires immediate attention. Another, you actually want to be in ketosis because you naturally do it every night anyway. And so helping your body to stay in ketosis is just a way to use up the fat stores that are walking around with you every day. Thank you for coming and spending a little bit of time with me today. I hope the information that you got from this video was helpful to you. If it was helpful, please like and subscribe, and also share it with a friend. You may help someone. Also, I just liked knowing some of the scientific facts. I thought that's interesting. So please comment below what your thoughts are. I am always open to questions and ideas about future videos. In fact, the next 5 videos are planned out from your comments. So thank you for that. I appreciate your asking questions and asking for specific information. So it is in the queue, and I'm looking forward to creating even more videos, hopefully to help people to have an amazing wellness life, because you deserve it. You deserve it, and you can do it. I know you can. I'm in my 6th decade, and I'm just grateful that I found enough knowledge and information to help me heal my own body, because I'm not a person who likes to take drugs. And so for me, I wanted natural ways for my body to heal itself. And I think it's amazing that our bodies were created to survive and thrive and to be well. So I hope you're feeling well today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by.